Hey, Erik Van Horn here. I love franchising and I'm getting ready to get on the Peloton, and I've had a phone call that I wanted to share with you, and it's from someone that I helped get into a franchise a little over a year ago, and he called me and you could tell by his tone that he was down and he was struggling with some stuff. And so I he asked me to, I think it was yesterday, he asked me to have a phone call, and I booked it for today. And I said, hey, what's going on, man? And he starts to tell me all the things that aren't working and why he's struggling with different things. And he's in a service-based business. And then he started comparing it to retail and said, hey, but if it was retail, you got customers coming to you and it's just spend more money on marketing. But the struggle is real in this service-based business that he's in. And so what I've discovered over the years in working with a bunch of different franchises, being a franchisee in a lot of different concepts, is there's some consistent things that we can do as a franchisee to get better and actually change my organization. And I've seen this to be true. And so I wanted to just share some of the things that I shared with him. And hopefully it will help you if you get to the point where you do struggle. And here's kind of the dirty secret. Everybody's going to struggle at some point. You know, I know that going into it, that it's not going to be sending money in and then the franchisor is going to do all this work for me and everything's going to be great. So here's my advice to people that come to me after the fact and say, Erik, I'm really struggling here. And I give this advice because I give myself this advice usually before I get to the point where it's actually a struggle. And so that's the big takeaway, is actually implement this stuff before you have to implement it. By the way, if you ever want to talk to me about looking at franchise opportunities out there, see if franchising is right for you, go ahead and go to Talk with Erik, E-R-I-K, talkwitheric.com. And if you qualify to work with me, we'll get something on the calendar. So back to the story. So he tells me everything that's not working. And I called him on. I said, hey, man, I could be on the other end of the phone here and tell you, oh, I'm so sorry to hear this is, the franchisor's not doing this, or the customers are doing that, or employees, whatever. I said, but, I'm not going to do that because I'd be giving you, doing you a disservice. What I'm going to do is tell you what I would do if I was in your situation. And let's just pretend it's the worst of the worst. It wasn't, by the way, the worst for him. But let's say you're in business, any business, and specifically in franchising, and it's like the worst day of your life ever. You have a choice to just continue on, wait for the phone to ring, look at all the things that aren't working, or actually do something about it, and this is what you should be doing. I said, don't spend any more time in the office. Get out of the office, get on the phone, call every single franchisee and find out what they are doing that's working. I said, they could be the worst franchisee, but I bet they're doing one thing that's working. So don't try to validate everything that isn't working. Find that one thing that is working. Start doing more of that one thing in your business, and call every single franchisee or manager, whoever's in the business, and start asking them, what did you do in the last month, 2 months, 6 months that worked the best? And then if it comes back and you're like, yeah, I've done that, I didn't get that much of a big pop or many results in that, then dig deeper. How did you do that? What was the result of that? So the goal of the phone call is to learn something that you didn't know before you had that phone call, because you can learn from the people at the very top and the people that are struggling. You can always learn from them. And so then I said, hey, if, and this is, it's super extreme, but, if I was ever in this position, this is exactly what I would do. Let's say I'm involved with a business and I'm about ready to lose everything. Now, this isn't the case, but let's say that's worst case scenario for you. And I like to go through these mental exercises myself to be like, what would I do? So it's the worst day of my life. I'm going to lose everything in the next month if I don't do something. So I'm going to call every franchisee manager and learn from them. The next thing I'm going to do, actually simultaneously, I'm going to email or call the franchisor. I'm going to say, hey guys, you know what I'm good at, you know what I'm not good at. I want to do a lot more of what I'm good at, but I also want to understand what I don't know today. So call up the franchisor and say, hey, I'm going to lose everything unless I actually start doing the things that are going to make this business successful. So franchisor, what do I need to be doing today to be successful? And they're going to tell you a million things that you should be doing and say, okay, I'm going to do those million things. What should it look like? How should my business improve? And then hold yourself accountable. Have them hold you accountable to the things that are not working. If I'm a franchisor, someone comes to me and says, I'm going to do whatever you say, all of a sudden, I'm going to have a lot more responsibility to, instead of just give them a list, but actually help them execute what I'm telling them to do. So now you're putting the franchisor on notice of saying, hey, I really want the help, and have a good attitude when you're doing it. Don't just vomit on them and tell them everything that's not working. And as soon as they say something, say, oh, I tried that, it doesn't work. Oh, I tried that, it doesn't work. Ask them, say, hey, I've done some of this. I probably didn't do something right, or I probably did something wrong in the execution of this. So let me walk through how I executed that so I can get some feedback from you so I can do it better next time. Go in with that type of attitude, go in with that type of tenacity to change your business and see what happens. So that's advice I give myself. Again, like I said, I go through these mental exercises, and that's, it was a call that was similar to that. And then he sent a text later. He's like, hey, I've already reached out to the franchisor and they're going to help me. And the franchisor is actually going to do some cool stuff for him. And this is all that's happened in the last hour. Also, I've talked to a number of people that are looking at franchises today, and I get such interesting conversations that go way beyond just the normal stuff that most people deal with when they're opening up a magazine, or they're dealing with a consultant that's opening up a magazine and just saying, hey, you should look at this one because they're ranked high on some list. Who cares? Make sure you're talking to someone that knows what they're talking about.